Welcome to the Hot Spotting Real Estate Podcast. This is a bi-weekly podcast that talks about all things real estate with a splash of real-life topics. So tune in and let's keep it real. All right, hello, welcome to the Hot Spotting Real Estate Podcast. I'm Mike Toikin. I got a great guest, our first guest across the country, Kien Tsoi, a very good friend that I've known in the industry for a long time. He's born in Santa Barbara, California, and raised in Los Angeles. And right. Ken has a BA in Law and Society from UCSB. Right. He has an amazing family with wife Ashley and son Kai, who is 9, and daughter Emma? Emily?
Yeah, we just call her Emmy.
Emmy? Oh, that's cute. I like that. And he's the director of leasing of Dollar Tree Family Dollar. How are you?
That's right. Yeah.
For which region?
I cover the Midwest region. So I cover from Philly all the way to the west with the Dakotas, and then I go all the way down to Nashville.
Yeah. And Mr. Ken used to be a West Coast guy. Now you're an East Coast guy.
Yeah, used to be the LA guy, the straight up
LA. Yeah, and now you're enjoying life, Virginia Beach?
On the East Coast, yeah, that's right.
That's awesome, man. How's it been?
It's been great. The transition's been different, right? Obviously, when you move 3,000 miles away from your home, I was born and raised LA, right? So of course, when you move, it's a big change. But nevertheless, the South has been friendly,
as they are. They're always friendly down there. That's good.
It's good, and so kids enjoy it. They love it. They see we see a lot of opportunity here. So
that's
it's
awesome.
been good.
Well, good for you. Let's start off and just give everybody a little bit of background of how you got into commercial real estate, if you can, and we'll take it from there.
So let's see, my background. So my parents came to this country kind of like 1970s. And so they were primarily, they came over as housekeepers, right? And so we grew up in Beverly Hills and we were the help, right? So it's a family of 4, and we lived on 2 bunk beds in the housekeeper's room, right? And so, but we worked for a residential developer, and so he built a lot of the Palmdale, Lancaster area. And so throughout the years, as my parents were kind of immigrants, what do we do with our money? They were like, look, you work for us, you should invest in real estate. And so they said, okay, great. Like, what do I do? And so we bought, started off with like 1 tract home in Pomona, and then grew that into another one, and then a couple other ones. And then we started having, small homes across Southern California. Eagle Rock was one of them, Highland Park, East LA. And what would happen was we would buy them and then we would rent them out, build equity. And then throughout the real estate cycles, we would either sell them and move up into apartments. And but during those times, we would rent to other immigrant families, right? People that didn't have green cards, that would pay cash. You just look them in the eye and say, hey, look, I trust you. Pay my mortgage, pay the rent, and you've got a place to stay. And so we built, my parents built a pretty nice portfolio of properties, probably about 10 properties, about 38 units at one point. And then throughout the cycles, we either sold or divested. And so when I got out of college, previously so in middle school, I was writing leases. In high school, I was doing, I was changing, I wanted nothing to do with that, right? Like everybody wanted to go play soccer, could be at the video games, store. Like, you didn't want to do what your parents did, right? You just wanted to do whatever you wanted to do. And so after graduating college, I got a taste of real life, right? And then I came back to LA, and then I ended up, my parents ended up getting me one of the 2 bedrooms. So as a unit for ourselves, right? And then I started putting things together, right? Like, how do we make money as a family? What does this come from? And what does that happen? So at some point I came to the realization that I needed to come back and actually work for the family. And so got with my dad, and we started managing apartment buildings, and then kind of got out of that. I went to go get my contractor's license so I can do all the renovations myself.
Wow.
And then yeah, so that's kind of how I started in. And then I was like, well, why don't I sell some of these buildings, right? Or like, well, how do I become a broker? So um, started in with Keller Williams for a quick 3 weeks. Was like, hey, this is how you sell homes, and it was eye opening to me because I liked doing what I was doing, but I also didn't like the Saturday Sunday. I
Right.
was like, why do I want to work on Saturday Sunday? It's like, well, that's what the homes you sell for. So um, met a couple guys that were doing commercial work at Keller Williams, and one of them was Brent Ball, and the other one was Chris Sands, and Chris Sands of Sands Investment Group, and then Brent Ball was primarily a leasing guy,
Hmm.
and so this was probably 2009, 2010, kind of like downturn. So he's like, yeah, I've got all these listings, but no one's filling them. So, kid, if you can go ahead and fill them, I'll split it with you. I was like, okay, sure, let's dial for dollars. So at that point, I was just calling every, nail salon, anyone that would like try to take a space. I'd go out and, blanket and the community, like go out door knocking, just hand out flyers like, hey, we're asking 250 a foot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm paying $1.50. Why would I move there? Like, okay, no problem. And then I would turn around and call the landlord and be like, hey, we're asking 250 a foot. Your landlord, your tenant's only paying $1.50. You, if their lease comes up, we could probably talk about maybe I can help you with your listing. And they're like, oh yeah. So just broker 101 stuff. So that's how I ended up getting into leasing, into the retail side. And so got a couple listings after that, and then it took off.
Nice. And then where did you go after? Was that with Keller Williams still, or with?
Yeah, yeah. So I was with Keller Williams till probably about 2012, and then I got hooked up with Scott Burns and Chris Wilson over at Wilson Retail Group, or Wilson Commercial.
Right.
And so I was with them since 2012, and then they got bought in 2015 by JLL,
Right.
and then I've been at JLL ever since until October of 22.
Nice.
So that was 10 years with that group, right?
Right.
So.
And now you're director of leasing for the Midwest at Dollar Tree, Family Dollar. And how is that? Kind of give us what that role entails, and what you do for that company and what the company's all about, in case somebody doesn't know.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I started with when I started with Scott in 2012. I came over and was helping them out with some retail leasing, right? And so next thing you know, they were the master broker for Dollar Tree in Southern California,
Mhm.
and so they needed some horsepower on their account. They had two people on it, and then they were looking for a third, and so I jumped into tenant rep with them, and so then cut to it 10 years later, I've done over 300 deals with Dollar Tree, um, 2 or 3 tours minimum a year, across the board, across Southern California. And so um, when I moved to Virginia here, their headquarters is here. And so it was a kind of a logical play for them to keep asking me to join their company. I said, no, you can't pay me enough. You can't pay me enough. And then I got here and they were like, well, maybe we can pay you enough now. So I was like, look, let's just make it work. And so I jumped on board. They had a director retire in June, and I jumped on board in October. And it's been a great transition because I know most of the deals from the broker side, right, from the outside of looking in, and now it's all operational side on the inside. Like operations and real estate committees and all that stuff. So it's been a great transition for me, knowing from one side of the business how to negotiate their deals, and now how to actually push the deals forward through committee to get signatures, to sign on the lease, right, to get construction involved. So it's been a great transition for me.
That's awesome. Was it a tough transition going from, brokerage to in-house on the tenant side?
Yeah, I mean, any transition is going to be tough, right? But for me, as a broker, you're only as good as your last deal, right? So you might do a 40,000 square foot, Albertson deal, or you might do, a 110,000 square foot Target deal. I mean, you're good, but then what are you going to do tomorrow, right? So
Right.
it's a consistent push, a consistent drive that you have to wake up every day and bang the phones and make the phone calls and make the connections. And it's a different play when you're in the corporate world because in LA, I was, 6 a.m. to 7 at night, and then go put the kids back to bed and work until midnight and then do it all over again. Right. And
Right.
so now here at corporate, it's interesting. I still keep that same schedule, which has been for me, which has been life changing. But,
Hmm.
at 5:01, you can't get anyone on the phone here at the office. Because that parking lot is empty and you're still clicking away. And you're like, wait, I need something from, hold on, they're not even here. Like, okay, I'll send an email.
Yeah, the day's
So
over, buddy.
it's corporate. It's a different world, but nevertheless, I feel like everybody works at such a high performance from 8 till 5 that
Yeah.
after 5:01, they're pretty tapped out for the rest of the day too.
What's your territory again?
So yeah, I cover Philadelphia to the west,
Mhm.
and then that covers all the way through Michigan, all the way through the Dakotas, and then you come down Missouri, Kansas, and going down to Tennessee, and then kind of just West Virginia in that pocket up there. So what we call is the Midwest.
And are you traveling to all these markets on a regular basis, or are you
Yeah,
just relying on? Oh, you are.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's
No,
reliance on the brokers as usual, and then you're traveling to these markets on a regular basis as well.
yeah, I've got 10 real estate managers as of today, and each real estate manager either has a state or a partial state, right? Usually an MSA, like market
Right.
strategy. And so um, I could get into their markets pretty easily from Virginia, right? It's usually a day trip, so I can fly out at 6 a.m., get there by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and then if they wanted me to tour with them. But most of my real estate managers are all pretty experienced and they know what a good deal looks like. And a Target center is a Target center, right? A Walmart center is a Walmart center. I don't need to go see those. But there's those times when you want to get to see, you might be having a store with a Kroger, and then you might have another one at the Walmart, and then now all of a sudden you've got another shopping center opportunity. And is it too close? Is it a different trade area? And I think those are the things that those are the sites that you want to go see and really kind of touch and feel and understand if the traffic patterns are where they are, the customers are really coming there. So those are the ones that you have to go see. And so, yeah, I make a plan to travel 2 to 3 times a month.
Okay.
So last week I was in Columbus. This week I'm in the office. Next week I'll be in Rhode Island. But usually it's pretty quick day trips, right? So you're in and out, same day, or you're in and out in 2 days.
On that note, with all that travel, how do you balance your family and travel? And it's an interesting question because I know a lot of directors and managers that travel a lot, and I've never asked the question. So I'm just curious, like, how do you guys really? It's a tough job. You guys are traveling constantly. You have kids, wife.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? And what are some of the things that you do to kind of help you, make sure
Yeah.
that you keep your family work balance, in a good state of mind?
Well, I would say I'm doing a poor job of doing that. I've only been here for 9 months, so I've been drinking from the fire hose since day one, and so it's a lot of processes to learn. And it's easy to turn it off at 5:01 for some people, but for me, I have those vulnerabilities, and I feel like I'm not pulling my weight as a director from some of the other directors in the company, right? So I want to make sure that I learn, or at least I can perform up to the same and give the support to my real estate managers, make sure I'm not holding any deals back because it might be something that I don't know, right?
Mhm.
And so that keeps me up at night, right? Making sure that I'm helping the growth of the company, but also maintaining that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
Management is not an easy task to say the least for me. As a deal maker, it was easy, right? Like, you could put a deal together, call the broker, let's get on a call, let's hammer out the lease. Like, those are the easy things about the day to day on making deals in our world. But the hard ones are making sure that, every individual is cared for and supported in their way that they wanted to be, right? Some people don't need a lot of hand holding and other people do. And some people want to have a lot of reinforcement about what their decisions are and how they want to navigate the perception or how their deal goes with the company.
Mhm.
And some are just, leave me alone and let me do my job, and
Right.
I'll let you know if I need you, right? So that's the management a part of being a director, is being able to balance all that, right? And unfortunately, sometimes I do come home late and I stay with my kids, but most of the weekends is usually like it's daddy time on the weekends. Mom gets to take some time off and
Yeah.
do as much as I can. But I deal with babies all day long, like grown adult babies all day long, and then I got to come home and
I like that. Yeah. Shout out to the mommies. I feel you on that, and I try to do the same too. It's hopefully it's something that changes as we progress in our careers, and we create more time. The
absolutely.
sooner we do it, the better, of course. But we're working on it.
There's always the next chapter, right? Because when
There's
your
always
kid's
the
not
next.
crawling yet, you're like, oh, that's okay, like I'm gonna spend more time, and then all of a sudden the kid's crawling, and then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll be spending more time, and the kid's walking, and you're like, okay, and now the kid's at school, and you're like, wait a second, I was supposed to spend more time, and
Yeah.
it's you definitely have to take some time and just make sure that you're present, right? When I do go home, I put my phone down until they go to sleep, and then I pick up the laptop and then answer everything else. But when I'm home, I'm definitely present. Try to put everything down, not answer any emails, just focus being there for my kids for the few hours that I am during the day, and then
Yeah.
when they go back down, I can refocus again. But
I
yeah,
think that's the key because, like, let's say I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go home earlier to spend time with my kids." I probably wouldn't because I'd be like, my phone would be still blowing up, etc. So I'd probably still be engaged. So it's better to kind of like crank it out, and then when you do get home, you just, you shut it down.
you're gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a
Yeah.
good way to do it. How different is the deal making climate in the Midwest compared to when you're doing deals out here?
Well, in Southern California, I can tell you it's ultra competitive just because the real estate is confined, right? Residential is still I'd say the best use for a lot of properties, right? And so you might have these larger value add shopping centers where someone's like, instead of trying to get $22 out of a 40,000 square foot box that you have to invest $1.5 million to split the box, just sell me the property. I'll give you $22 million for it, and I'll build the condos.
Yeah, that
It's
happens all day.
it's all day, right? Like you're trying to do a gas station deal, right? And it's $5 million for the gas station, and then they're like, "That's fine. I'll pay you 6," and it's under contract, and you can't even negotiate a ground lease for a drive-through. It's like
Yeah.
$5 million. You're like, oh, yeah, just go build more condos, right? So it's tough in Southern California. Obviously, the quality of real estate is getting to be less and less, but here in the Midwest, it's a new growth pattern out here, right? Obviously, people have come out of the major metros and have gone into suburbia. So the Midwest is actually a very big component of people where they're moving to is they want to move into southern Chicago, right? Kankakee. They want to be an hour outside of the city. They can get in, out possible, and
Right.
it's easy. Kansas, Missouri, like St. Louis, like those are some good MSAs. Nashville is huge, right? I mean, everybody wanted to move to Nashville. Now they're in Chattanooga. Now, Louisville is blowing up. So these kind of, I'd say secondary cities
Mhm.
are becoming these metro cities of suburbanites and growth, right? And so those are the opportunities where the new targets are coming in, the Costco's are coming in. And so there's opportunities to do those deals there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Dollar Tree, Family Dollar are looking for right now, real estate wise?
Yeah, so we've been on a big push ever since I've got here to get to what we call it 1,200 stores a year. And typically we've always been somewhere between 500 to 600 stores a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also basically been tasked to do double, right? And
Right.
that's 12 stores a year. And so in my region, I'm responsible for 350 stores a year.
Out of that
That's,
total pie
yeah,
of growth.
so 1,200. I'm responsible for 350, and that's 7 leases a week.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that sounds like a decent number. Right now, we have 670 deals on the books for 2023. So if you can imagine 52 weeks, I mean,
Yeah.
you're 10 stores a week, right? Like opening, and
That's crazy.
it's getting faster and faster. And now we've got 52 weeks and we have to do 1,200 stores. So next year our goal is 850. The year after that is going to be a 1050, and then the year after that's 1,200. So
Wow.
it's a slow growth, but obviously it's been moving faster and faster. Traditionally Dollar Tree has been kind of the shadow anchor C center. Like, it wouldn't be the A Target anchored shopping center, and it wouldn't be the Kroger, the Ralph's anchored shopping center in the B location, right? Now we're in the C location with kind of like the closeout guys, the random motorcycle shop, and the massage parlor and that type of thing. And so we've done those deals before and we just don't have any more. So now we're looking at those quality A and B shopping centers, and we're getting to a rent that you'd be surprised because, if you've been into a Dollar Tree recently, it's not $1 for our products. It's $1.25.
Right.
So now we're the 5-quarter store. And so margins have gone up, right? And so then we look at real estate differently now, where in the past we've looked at a high risk store would be only a 5-year deal, and now we're doing 10-year deals, right? And so in the future, I think probably the next 90 days, we're probably looking for 15-year ground up deals with our developers, which we haven't done before. We've always done 10-year ground ups, and so with other retailers in the market doing 15 years. Whether it be in auto parts or other variety stores that are our competitors, we want to match their deal terms, right? We want to be able to make sure that we can grow just as fast as they do. So we're starting to work with a 15-year deal term.
Nice. And then what is it? What size is the box now?
So we have different formats, right? I mean, okay. we bought Family Dollar in 2015-16, right? We merged those two together, and Family Dollar has always been either rural markets, right? 800 people in a town. And then it's always been super dense urban markets, right? It's the local bodegas type, so you can be in urban markets, bus stop located, near a subway, that type of thing, where, this would be a convenience play.
Right.
Family Dollar is what I kind of like to say is like the local variety store, right? So we don't just sell things for $1, but we also sell T-shirts, clothes, diapers, Tide, everything that you can find underneath the sun. Some of our stores have beer and wine.
Right.
And so it's a local convenience play, right? And so we have that format, right? So we can go down to almost 6,000 square feet in those stores. And then we have our Dollar Tree stores, which is typical as our 10,000 square foot. But now we're really interested in focusing on urban core markets, like you said. And going into these kind of urban markets where maybe we will do a 6,000 square foot Dollar Tree. And so those are the things that we're really kind of investigating with merchandising. Being transit orientated, right? It'd be nice to be in an airport, 6,000 square feet, and sell stuff for $1.25. But obviously the airports need to have it. And so we might be $2 at the airport, right? Or $3 in the airport,
right,
to make sense of it all. But maybe we're outside the airport and on a major artery, and it's a high walk traffic, and people are trying to get into the airport, and then they can stop in for us, right? So we're investigating that. We do have our larger formats, which are 20,000 square foot, what we call our fulls, right? So these are large format stores, 20,000 square feet, Family Dollar merchandise on one side and Dollar Tree merchandise on the others.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so those are our combo stores, and those are kind of our suburbia, rural towns where we have a strong Family Dollar in the market that we might think it's undersized. It's a 6,000 to 7,000 square foot that we haven't renovated in the past 10, 15 years. And we said, look, we're doing well here. Let's double down in that community. Let's put a Dollar Tree with it, and let's go into this combo. And then we'll go across town with a combo store. And so then that Family Dollar will do fine, right? And then there's a little impact, but we'll come onto the other side of the town and do a combo. And so we'll have that kind of history of sales there. So we'll believe that it should do well. And then, so we got the smaller formats, right? Family Dollar, Dollar Tree. We've got the large format combo. And then we have these standard formats, which are 10,500 square footers, what we call combo fulls, combo stores. And so those are what we call a Family Dollar store with Dollar Tree merchandise. So you'll have the full assortment, but you'll also have the Dollar Tree seasonal. So you'll have the Halloween decorations and the party stuff, and you'll have the July 4th decorations and the Christmas stuff. And so, but you'll have that for the $1.25 that we sell.
Oh,
So
wow.
we cover kind of so many different facets of retail that we can plug in so many stores. So that's how we can do 1,200 stores a year, right? Because
Right.
we don't have to stay with one format.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. All good stuff. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in learning more about the brand and then reaching out to you. So we'll go ahead and put your contact and then the company information in the show notes. We're at the segment right now in the show where my daughter asks you some questions, a little more personal.
Awesome.
And it's
Yeah.
called Alessandra Wants to Know, and she has some pre-recorded questions that we'll play and get to know Mr. Kien a little bit better.
That's awesome. Let's hear
All right, here we go.
What are some of your hobbies?
it. So I love to fish if I have the time. But here in Virginia, we're right here on the coast, right? So we're right on the kind of the Atlantic, where there's a lot of warm waters that come up from the south, right? And so we're kind of that between mid-Atlantic and the south, where the warm meets the cold water. So you'll get a lot of great fishing out here. So right now it's cobia season. It started like 2 weeks ago. And cobia is an amazing fish because it swims on the top of the water while it hunts.
Oh, wow.
And it goes back and forth. And so how you fish for cobia is you're on these boats with a 20-foot tower. So you're standing up on top of this tower,
Okay.
and you're sighting the fish in pods. So they'll go around as groups fishing on basically feeding on the top of the water. And you'll have a live eel probably about 8 to 12 inches on your hook. And you'll throw the eel in front of the pod, and you'll try to get them to
Chase it?
snap. Yeah, to chase it. And so as soon as you hook, it's this great fight. It probably lasts you a couple minutes, but it's an average size cobia is probably somewhere between 35 to 45 pounds.
Okay.
It's a big size fish.
Wow.
It's a what we call it's about the size of your leg.
Okay. What is
And
it? What does it taste? Is it an edible fish, or is this like a catch?
yeah,
and
yeah,
release thing?
yeah.
And what does it taste like?
It's almost like a halibut. It's like
It's a whitefish?
It's a whitefish. Yeah, it
Okay.
tastes, and it's not super gamey. But I've been very fortunate to do a lot of fishing trips, and so I think I'm just catch and release now.
Oh, okay.
I'm more kind of more for the sport than I am for the food.
How often are you going out when it's season?
Try to go out like once every 3 weeks because it's cobia season from June 15th to September 15th.
Okay.
And then once the season changes and it starts getting colder, then it's a lot of spade and rockfish.
Okay.
So you'll go out there. We've got a couple light towers and a couple wind turbine towers out in the bay. And down by their pier pilings, you'll see a lot of fish that collect around there and stuff
Oh,
like
cool.
that. Love to fish, love the beach, right? So
Yeah.
obviously Virginia Beach, so that's another fun thing as hobby. But yeah, I mean, obviously family man.
Yeah.
Try to invest as much time as I can with the kids. So whatever they're into, whether it be water parks or, my kids picking up golf, which I'm kind of pumped about.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad that he's getting the fever for it. But obviously, when do you find time, right?
Yeah. Well, you got to make time, but
Yeah.
it's tough.
Okay.
Let's hear the next question.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
Ooh, so that's a good one because coming from the West Coast, I was a Lakers, Shaq, Kobe diehard fan. Was because Kobe's not there and the Lakers are a growing team and we've got LeBron now and it's great to see him on court. It's tough because I just don't know if I have the same love for LeBron like I did for Kobe and Shaq during kind of like the early 2000s, right? That was like
The dynasty era.
Kobe in his jersey, like he's pumping his jersey. That's actually in my office at home, and so and so Dodgers, obviously, Lakers Dodger fan. Never been a big Angels fan. I've been to a couple of games; they're great.
Yeah.
I mean, Lakers and Dodger fan.
That's awesome. What teams? What's the team by you like Is there football, baseball? What do you guys got?
We have the Washington Commanders, or wait, no, what are we called? The Washington. Well, we were the Redskins, but you can't call them
Oh,
Redskins.
the
So now,
Washington football team.
yeah, I think it was the Washington football team.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have the Orioles as a baseball team here.
Okay.
Yeah, not. I'll still
You're
take the
still
LA.
West Coast. I get it.
Yeah, still West Coast.
All right, let's hear the next question.
What is your favorite food?
Ooh. Um,
It's a tough
Sushi is always
question.
top. Sushi is always good. I mean, I can't say I haven't had a bad sushi meal in a while,
Yeah.
right? You
How's
know,
the sushi out there?
it's good because there's always a lot of fresh fish
Yeah.
here, and so sushi is good. I wouldn't say it's LA quality because of the diversity and the ethnicities
Right.
out in LA. Like, it's just closer to Japan, so they have those access to those ingredients, right? And those people have kind of perfected it right in LA.
Right.
And then you come here and you're like I was used to the Roku, and you're like, no, I'm just used to the local guy cutting fish and throwing it on rice and calling it sushi. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say any Asian food is probably like my favorite. I mean, unfortunately, here in Virginia Beach, there's just not a lot of diversity. So,
Yeah.
it's Panda Express for me. So,
Thank God for Pitt. All right, let's hear the last question.
If you can live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
anywhere my family is. And
That's a good answer.
I mean, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I mean, I've thought about like Hong Kong, moving back with my family, trying to live there. We've thought about Canada, like moving up to either like Vancouver. We talked about Utah. We talked even about going south to the Carolinas, Florida, and honestly, it's just wherever my family is. I mean, that's home, right? And it doesn't. If you move a couple times, it just doesn't matter. It's the weather can never compare to LA. Let's just be real. Like
It's been
you're never
horrible for the last 2 months. You haven't missed much.
But it's yeah. I mean, you can't compare, but anywhere is home.
Nice, man. That's a great answer. I'm
It's,
on the same
it's
page
good.
with you on that one. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy out there, and I always appreciate you taking the time to talk to me
Yeah.
whenever I want to reach out to you for anything. And you're always been, stand-up guy in the industry. And if you guys don't know Ken, he's very approachable. Talk to him, network with him, get to know him. He's a good guy to know in our industry, and hopefully you guys could bring him some deals.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, Mike, I've always we've been trying to put deals together back when you were saving. I mean, yeah, back in the day, like just trying to find like any opportunity to work together with you would be great. But across the board, look, any friends of ours we work in such a small fishbowl, right? It's retail, right? Whether it be the Red Mountain team or whether it be Sage Invesco or whether it be any shopping center, right? Brixmore. We work in such a small fishbowl,
Right.
and it's like you have to be in our industry. You just have to either be ethical and a good person, and most of us are. I mean, honestly, I think everyone I know in the industry is just a good down to earth person that wants to help, right? And so, if there's a deal out there, great. If there's no deal, and you're like, hey, like I'm looking at a shopping center and there's a Dollar Tree there, like, would you guys stay? Are you guys doing okay? Feel free to reach out to me. Like that's in my best sense to let you know, like, hey, I'll let you know, like, if we're doing okay or
That's cool.
or not. But nevertheless, like, I feel like why kind of hide the potato when we're all in the same boat together,
I
right?
agree. I think that's a good approach to our industry, and if that happens a lot more, I think deals will be made easier, and a lot more deals will be made.
I tell other retailers right now when I'm working with them, whether it be like AutoZone or whether it be with Five Below, Ulta, and any other retailer that I'm talking to, all we're trying to do is to get the customer off the couch and get them through our stores. It doesn't matter, oh, you have too much square footage on yours, or your parking's encroaching on mine. Okay, you have a waiver and I need an exclusive. It's like we're all in the same boat. Like all we want to do is to operate a store and get customers and get people off their couches and off their phones and into our stores.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to cross shop me. They're going to cross shop you. Sure, we might have some impact and cannibalization from one another, but at the end of the day, like we're literally trying to survive from getting eaten up from an omni-channel,
Right.
Purchaser, right? I mean, that's all we're trying to do. So I feel like we can work all together, play well in the sandbox with every other retailer, and let's make better shopping centers, and let's just make it a better industry for all of us.
That's right. Let's do it, my man. I appreciate you, and I hope to talk to you soon.
No, absolutely, Mike. It's a pleasure. Hope to see you soon, man.
You got it, buddy.
All right, brother.
Take care.
Peace.
Just a reminder, please take the time to subscribe to this podcast and leave us a rating and review. It's greatly appreciated. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hot Spotting Podcast. If any listeners have any questions or topics they would like to hear on the show, or if you simply want to connect, you can email me at mike@hotspotproperties.net. Once again, thank you for listening. It's been real.